Dave Craig has been a peaks and valley quarterback for the Seahawks. When he's good, he's very good. And when he's having an off day, well, the first half is an example. 4 for 12, a total of 2 net yards passing for the Seahawks. 13-3 Denver leads. We'll be back with the second half in a moment.
If you're wondering what it can do on a dry highway, you're ready for an Audi.
As we get ready for the second half, that last play of the first half, almost like you draw it out. Now everybody, all the offense and defense go down about 30 yards, and I'll throw it up there and see if somebody can catch it. And Mark Jackson did, and that could have really been a big play for
something else that you could see, though, and we'd like to show it to you, is what happened after that ball bounces around. You watch as Watson leads us to the pack, and it's going to be a whole convention down here. Everybody got to, let's go down and wait for that ball to come down. They all go up. Easily, I think, is the man who touches the ball. He's bounced away, and there is number 80, Mark Jackson. And if he could have bounced away, what you did not see, as Elway threw that ball, watch from the right-hand side, Jeff Bryant, 77. As Elway plants and starts forward, he feels Bryant coming, and look at him lift that leg up off the ground. If that leg had been planted, we'd have had Kubiak in there instead of Elway this half.
And there was one giant play, the most important play of the first half. Chris Norman, he has backed to punt, and number 37 breaks through cleanly, smothers the punt. It's picked up by 82 Paul Scanzi, but it is not a touchdown for Seattle, as the Seahawks were detected holding. Denver kept the ball, went down and got a field goal on that drive, so a 10-point swing, and that's the difference in the game at the moment. Rusty Tillman, the man who directs those special teams. Chris Norman knows he'll have some pressure on him again in the second half.
Seattle gets the first chances of football as Carlos is ready to kick it off, and they've got to get their act together here in the second half.
The games that the Seahawks have lost have been games in which the offense has been unable to get on the board. Carlos with another good high end zone kick. Randall Morris breaking at the 30 and out to the 35-yard line, and a flag goes down. Could be a face mask. Randall Morris, a 38-yard return, and now let's check the penalty call. Apparently against the Broncos.
Daniel Hunter, number 25, special teamer, got his hands up into the mask. Right at the end of the play here, watch him reach in right there, left hand, and jerk that mask around, and of course he's going to add some additional yardage to the fine return already by Randall Morris.
5 yards on the mark. Author of the official first half statistics. Again, only 2 yards net passing for Seattle. Well, the Broncos almost 200 yards, a big first half, aided by that unusual pass in the last play of the half. Kurt Warner outside to the 50-yard line and close to a first down, and the Seattle Seahawks have been able to run Warner wide left very successfully.
Kurt Warner again showing that burst, that explosion as he gets outside. Watch him here, a little dip to kind of freeze the lineman inside, and again the great block. You saw it right there by John L. Williams, making room for Warner upfield. He's got the almost enough for the first down. Second and short, a throwaway down, we'd call this. Let's see if maybe they won't gamble on this one, Dick.
From their own 49.
No.
They get the sure thing. John L. Williams plowing for 6 yards and a first down at the Denver 45-yard line.
Well, and I should know better. I played for Knox for a lot of years, and he always wants the sure thing. There's John L. Williams. We've given you a chance to watch him blocking, and there he's doing some power running. He's kind of moving that stack back, and of course the good power runners, the good short yardage runners, come up in there square, shoulders down low, protect that football, and just drive on in.
this time. And he squirts through to the 31-yard line, and another first down, and that puts Kurt Warner over the 100-yard mark, and we're just 2 minutes into the second half. And a reminder, our viewers will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of this contest.
This man has been a most valuable player in many games. Number 77, Carl Mecklenburg, but he is neutralized beautifully on that play by number 75, Mike Wilson. We remind you that Mecklenburg has an injured thigh, but the Seattle Seahawks have done a pretty good job of putting big men on him all day long.
Well, the Seahawks start the second half impressively. First down at the Denver 31. John L. Williams tripped up after a short gain. Rulon Jones, Ricky Hundley in on the tackle. Tom Jackson was there as well. There he is, old number 57, last man to get up.
Seahawks have been able to run against Denver's defense effectively, which wouldn't figure. This is the #1 run defense against the rushing game in the league. They're 22nd against the pass, and yet the proportions reversed in this game as the Seahawks have simply not been able to pass effectively.
69 yards they've averaged for a game, the opponents against Denver. 131 yards and just a little over a half by Seattle. Second and 8. Warner to the 25, where he'll be 3 yards shy of a first down.
Well, I got to tell you, if Knox has decided he's just going to run it all the way down the field, it's a pretty tough thing to do against this defense. You've got to be able to throw the ball. Craig has faltered in situations where he had to throw the football. And this third down situation, not such a must-throw situation. They may even elect to run it here. Let's see.
They brought in 2 extra wide receivers, Butler and Turner. Third and 3. Hand off to Warner on the draw. 20. And a first down at the 18 to Kurt Warner. Boy, has he been busy to start this second half. On this drive, 6 plays, and Warner has carried on 5 of them. And one now wonders whether or not that last one is going to be a very punishing one to Seattle's hopes.
Took a pretty good shot. It looks like he may have either knocked the wind out of him or something. He's still staying down. Let's go back and take a peek at it and see if we can see little forward handoff there out of the shotgun. Very effective play. And you see Warner again moving laterally, hit from the back of the head. And I think maybe that's what happened. Jammed the neck a little bit as he went to the ground. Watch Warner. As he's finally stopped here, he's turned around right there, and there's the shot on the back of the neck.
Timeout. 11 minutes, 7 seconds left in the third quarter.
Uh-oh, our new boss is here.
Yeah, and look what he's driving.
A Ford Bronco, too.
That tell you anything?
He's not your ordinary executive.
Right.
Or maybe he likes to be on top of all situations, like ice or snow with four-wheel drive.
Maybe he's the rugged outdoor type.
Well, he's probably a powerful boss. This baby's got a V6.
Yeah, and he sure likes luxury. Look at that interior.
Definitely into comfort.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
He is a she.
Definitely.
Ford Bronco 2, now with new 2-wheel drive model, as well as traditional 4-wheel drive. Built fun tough.
If you are a dark-haired girl in a bright red dress, I will steal you away. If you are an ancient cathedral, I will capture you instantly. If you are an explosion of brilliant flowers, I will catch you. And I will keep you, all of you, in all the splendor of your glorious colors. The amazing new Polaroid Spectra system. Polaroid. We take your pictures seriously.
Teach your children well. Their skill will tell how life will go by and show them their own dreams. The one they'll pick is the one they'll know by.
Nothing's more important than teaching children. That's why more schools teach on Apple than any other computer.
And know they love you.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies. And by Polaroid Spectra System. We take your pictures seriously.
Deservedly, Kurt Warner billboarded. He's okay. but out of play. First down, Seattle at the Denver 18 with the Broncos leading 13-3. John L. Williams flags down, and it might be a motion penalty against Seattle. One of the backs lurching forward. Greg Cragen, 71, the nose tackle for Denver, made the stop.
Randall Morris, number 43, just bounced up. He got back, and it looked like he was set. In fact, the referee nodded his head as if he were down for a full second. The linesman out on the side flipped the flag in the air.
Yeah, they could pick up the penalty depending on what Gordon McCarter and his crew decide. Nope. So in the noise, the crowd, a new running back, Randall Morris, and the penalty.
Illegal motion. Offensive halfback. Penalty declined. Second down.
Kurt Warner returns to the lineup. Morris to the sidelines. Wind knocked out of him is the report we receive. And Kurt Warner, the great All-America from Penn State. How about the Dendy Lions and that big win at Alabama Saturday? Warner again in a crowd. 4 or 5 yards inside the 15. Give him 5 more, and his total continues to grow. He's near a century and a half. Check that, 123 yards and 150 for the team.
One thing that has helped him this year, the Seahawk offensive line, much bigger and more aggressive in their blocking. They're really coming out. They're blowing off that line as opposed to hitting and turning as they have done in the past. It's helped Warner. It gives him more time to make his cuts, and he can make those cuts closer to the line of scrimmage.
Seattle has not thrown a pass on this drive that started back at the 40. Wide open touchdown. Ray Butler, and a flag is down. In the secondary of the Broncos, Ray Butler from the University of Southern California, former Indianapolis Colt, and it's
I think we're getting offensive interference, Dick.
Boy, have the penalties crushed Seattle so far. They lost a touchdown on the block punt, and apparently have lost another touchdown here on an offensive push. Byron Franklin is number 88. I believe that's what Mr. McCarter said, 88. Not the man that caught the ball, 83. Maybe it was a pick.
Well, that'll draw some tight jaws on the other side, and a great sigh of relief from the Denver defense. They'll get another chance to shut them down here.
You could add to that statistic 8 for 91 and 2 touchdowns. Now a very tough play instead of 3rd and 5, 3rd and 15.
This is the kind they've been missing all day, Dick.
Roland Jones. And that was just a 4-man rush.
Chuck Knox got what he wanted. He got him down the field with the running game, got in position, got the touchdown pass, only to have it called back to a penalty. But they don't get the shot here as number 75, Roland Jones, comes in from that left end position. And as Craig tried to roll out, he just simply snapped him to the ground.
And now that makes this a 53-yard field goal attempt by Johnson. He kicked 154 earlier this year, a record. He's got the direction, and he's got the distance. 53 for Norm Johnson to make it 13-6.
Boy, an important play there as they salvaged 3 when it looked like they were going to get shut out on the drive.
Touchdown nullified. Craig to Butler, that's the one they wanted, but they get the 3 on a 53-yarder by Johnson.
There's another kind of Ford Tempo, specializing in sheer exuberance. Ford Tempo Sport GL. Its high output engine and road handling suspension tell you it wants to be driven. Ford Tempo Sport GL. Think of it as fun and a distinctively different form. Ford Tempo Sport GL.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Your buddy Deacon Jones would get the sack. Rulon Jones now has 10 to lead the National Football League.
Very, very important play there as they shut out the opportunity for maybe a 7, and the ball in the air as we continue the action.
Deep kick by Johnson, and Ken Bell will take the touchback at the 20-yard line. Well, in this game with Jacob Green and
Carl Mecklenburg,
Rulon Jones, three of the top sackers in the AFC, we have a chance to appreciate that talent.
We certainly do, but so far in the game, Mecklenburg and Jones have been more of a factor than Seattle's pass rush. Seattle has not yet sacked Elway, and that has been significant. They have got to get some heat on him here.
Denver's first possession of the second half. They lead by a touchdown, 13-6. Flanker pass to Sewell, who gains 3. Robinson and Easley, the two safeties, get him out of bounds.
What a nice story. Kenny Easley, 13 days ago, orthoscopic surgery, that right knee. Talked to him before the game. He said, my right knee feels better than it has all year long. Look at that plant on that right leg. Look at him driving off that. I'll tell you, this new orthoscopic surgery that they're able to do now, and if an athlete who has obviously a high threshold of pain can come back very quickly. He thought he was going to be able to play last week after 6 days.
Elway moving Watson to the other side. Little confusion in the formation for Denver. And they just do get it off with 1 second on the 30-second clock. And the toss is to the tight end, Orson Mobley. So Mobley and Hackett, who came into this the 8th game of the year, two tight ends without a catch, each has one today. And it's Easley right there.
Kenny Easley makes a lot of big plays on the game, although they're getting him out of position to make a lot of plays on the running game. We'll try and show you that later. He was there in position to make that stop, but not until the first down was achieved.
Mobley and Hackett, two small college players. Salem College for Mobley and Elon, North Carolina, for Hackett. Sammy Winder for 11 yards and a first down at the 42. Robinson and Taylor in the secondary for Seattle on the tackle.
Reeves loves to get you thinking pass and then come right back to that running game. And Sammy Winder, not a flashy runner, not a spectacular runner, but I think one of the hardest running backs to bring down in football because he just won't quit. I think gets perhaps more out of the tools he has than any running back in the game today.
Well, Merlin, I made the comment, and I want to make sure the Bronco fans don't misunderstand what I meant by the unspectacularly outstanding team Denver is. They have a great player in Elway, but the rest is just a good team. There aren't Jones and Mecklenburg aren't undoubtedly the upper crust of defensive players. When you compare them with other teams player for player, it's just a great team, not necessarily a team of great players.
I'd have to certainly agree with you, Dick, and they play with that team attitude. There's an unselfishness that is very important to their success.
It's another first down. Elway looking for Sewell. Instead goes long. Almost intercepted. Intended for Clint Sampson. And the coverage
Taylor.
Terry Taylor, and he had help down there from number 23.
You know what I think happened to Taylor? Right at the end of that play, as he swung his head around, he caught the sun, which is just bathing that corner of the field. Watch him as he turns back in. Well, just before he got into the sunlight, he had a chance at it. In fact, had that ball in his hands. I thought he'd gotten out into the sunlight, but he ended up falling in there after he'd missed that football. I reached for that one.
23 Patrick Hunter in on the play. He's in for Dave Brown. We understand Brown with a contusion may not return in the second half. 2nd and 10. Elway, look at him get away. Unbelievable. Wide open. Mark Jackson all the way to the 27, and Elway has done it again.
You'd swear they're going to get him. You better believe they think they're going to get him. Edwards in there, Nash in there. They're trying to keep position on him. Jacob Green trying to get him from the backside. Two defensive backs coming up. Unfortunately, they left a man uncovered, and Elway, as he so often does, able to find him and get him the football.
John Elway, big, strong, elusive, the great arm, and wonderful feet. That was a 32-yard play. Flag down. Winder out of bounds.
Clarence
at
Kay.
the line of scrimmage.
Tight end Clarence Kay just off a little early, and that's going to cost him 5 yards.
And a chance to check the finals earlier today. The winners, the Browns. The Steelers in an upset. The Jets barely. Lions were tough on the Bears. New England 5-3. Raiders have won 5 in a row. San Francisco in a struggle. That score misleading. And Miami wins its third. San Diego still with only 1 win. Kansas City is 5-3. And 14-7 the Rams lead Atlanta, and Dallas having a field day against the Cardinals at Texas Stadium. Here it's 13-6 Denver. First down 15. Elway gunning that ball incomplete to Clint Sampson. Sampson did not have control.
Dick, one of the things that we haven't given Denver credit for here today is the fact that they played a Monday night game. They didn't get finished with that game until well after midnight Eastern time. Had to climb on an airplane, come back here, and then really on a short week get ready for a very important game, a game that they need to win to stay in first place. I think Reeves and his staff have done a great job of getting this team ready to play today.
2nd and 15. 4 wide receivers in the game, 7 defensive backs. Elway incomplete. He had to unload, and that would have been a remarkable throw because Mark Jackson had made about 2 moves after the ball was in the air. Jacob Green, the frustration of chasing Elway. He knew it would be a tough day.
He can move, and he has a powerful arm. He can throw the football. And the thing we got to do is just try to keep pressure on him and not let him break containment and just go crazy, because he has good feel for the pocket, good feel for the rushes coming on, and he just creates a lot of problems for all the teams that he plays against.
Well, if we had a microphone on Green right now, he might say exactly the same thing. Elway drills it incomplete, intended for number 80 Mark Jackson, and that rookie from Purdue, Jackson, has become a favorite target of Elway, and that's a compliment to Jackson himself that Elway, the quarterback, says, hey, I'm looking for that number 80.
Yeah, with all that mobility, we sometimes fail to give some credit to that offensive line. Studdard and Winford Hood in there in place of Keith Bishop, Billy Bryan, Paul Howard, Ken Lanier. They have done an excellent job of protecting their quarterback today, but it's that little extra bit that Elway can give you. Scrambling away and getting that time, it really makes the difference in a game like this.
49-yard attempt by Carlos to try to give Denver more than a touchdown lead.
What is he, 8 for 9 on the year, Dick?
This one is going to hook to the left, and Carlos is now 7-8 for 10. Wide left from 49 is Rich Carlos, and with 6 minutes and 31 seconds left in the third quarter, it remains Denver 13, Seattle 7. 6.
It's time to change your light bulb. Philips Longer Life Square bulbs last 33% longer than ordinary round bulbs.
I got a new truck, it's a Ranger, you know. Got the looks I want and it is ready to go. Plenty of room with all the power to run. On or off the road, my Ranger's ready for fun. Let it roll! Driving a Ranger. Down the highway. Driving a Ranger. Let it roll! Driving a Ranger. Do it my way. Driving a Ranger now.
Ford Ranger, built fun tough.
At Raytheon Company, we believe that success comes from mastering the fundamentals. That's why we admire people like Tom Kite. People who are dedicated to perfecting the fundamentals, practicing them day in and day out until they become second nature. So whether it's in electronics, aviation, appliances, or energy, Raytheon works hard on the fundamentals. Because at Raytheon, we believe quality starts with fundamentals.
Experience an incredible advance in Gillette shaving smoothness. Atra Plus. The Plus is the white Lubra-Smooth strip that releases lubricants as you shave. You never felt anything smoother. Atra Plus by Gillette. The essence of shaving.
Next Sunday, the NFL plays here when the Broncos battle the Raiders. Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL 86.
You're on the sideline. Joe Collier on the sideline, examining the Polaroids taken that will tell him what formations are being used against his defenses. There he is with his famous book in hand.
Seattle with a field goal on its first drive after a touchdown was nullified by penalty. They trail by 7, take over at their own 31. Kurt Warner. Boy, how he has come back from that serious knee injury more than a year ago. And Dan Reeves yesterday commented on the admiration that the head coach of the Broncos has for this man's desire.
Question about that, and some spectacular talent to boot. 6-yard gain where most backs would have been stopped just beyond the line of scrimmage, and this is ground chuck at its best.
The only pass he threw on the last drive was the one for touchdown nullified. One doesn't fool the Broncos. No gain at all as John L. Williams is stopped by rookie Tony Colorado, number 69 from Southern California, number 5 draft pick, an academic All-American, second team in biology with the Trojans.
With Reuben Carter on the injured reserve list, Colorado getting a lot more opportunities to play, and Denver really doesn't have a set defensive lineup. They literally have 20 players who are in and out according to substitution, and that's part of Collier's plan.
Craig right through the hands of Ray Butler, and Seattle will have to punt. Good throw by Craig. Under pressure, he had to step up. He saw him coming, and in fact, as they set up for the play, you could see Warner pointing out that he was taking linebacker Ken Woodard if he was blitzing.
Look at what Craig has to put up with there. Watch Woodard as he'll move over here and sneak over here and then move back into here, all the time moving, trying to force the quarterback to alter his plan. Look at him now, shakes there, goes back across, and then drives up inside. Makes it very difficult for the quarterback.
High kick sailing toward Wilhite at the 15. 25. Flag down, and Wilhite is too at the 29. We may have a penalty against the Broncos. That's 3 straight 47-yard punts by Vince Gamache. Michael Jackson, 55, finally made the tackle.
Gamache also working with a little bit of a disadvantage today. He's got Jim Lawton in there as his deep snapper. Bush usually did that. Of course, he's on injured reserve, and Lawton has done an excellent job of getting that ball back to Gamache here today. Has to please Bush to know that it took 2 guys to replace him.
That's right.
Here we get back in the box, number 81 in the receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Steve Watson with a penalty, and with it a timeout. 5 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in the third period in Denver.
Give me a light.
That's not correct, Steve. Don't just ask for a light here.
Come on, give me a light.
You asked for it, Steve.
Bud Light!
Yes, Steve. Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste.
Don't just ask for a light.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light, Steve.
Not everyone got a vacation this summer.
I need a vacation. Well, you need some glasses. How many fingers can you see? I need a vacation.
This fall, you can still get great low fares to more places on the biggest bargain airline, United.
I got a vacation. Have a nice shower, Picorni. I'm not just flying. Head out. I'm flying friendly skies.
I'm out of there. You're about to see one of the many things this Ford Taurus can hold. It's called the road. Ford designed the Taurus wagon to handle confidently and to respond with precision. Because you should get more out of a wagon than what you put into it. This is Taurus.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
On 1986, they call it state-of-the-art nutrition.
My energy level has really improved.
Could this new health program be a health hazard for some people? Tuesday on 1986.
Blair Bush gone for the year with knee surgery. There are the two men.
Will Grant brought back in case something happens to Connie Kawhi. He's the backup center. And Lawton brought back to do the deep snapping. Listed as a tight end, although he was a linebacker in camp. Both men know the system. They were with Knox in training camp.
After the penalty for pushing on the punt, Denver starts at the 18. Elway with the gun. Steve Watson, first down at the 29 on an 11-yard gain. Patrick Hunter for the injured Dave Brown on the coverage. More than 2-1 offensive yardage favoring the Broncos.
Well, you don't win this game with yards, Dick, and on the scoreboard it's 13-6. And Denver knows they're only one big play away from seeing this game go back to a tie, and they have been very lucky in this game. 2 touchdowns called back for the Seahawks. The Seahawks aren't going to be happy with those stats, but they'd be happy if they could get some touchdowns or a touchdown and put this game into a lockup.
Elway, Watson again. First down at the 44. Now they're going to allow progress way up to the 47-yard line. Steve Watson, the veteran from Temple, a free agent.
It has to be frustrating. They have not been able to get to Elway all day. He has all kinds of time. Look how deep this pattern is before Watson breaks it to the outside and comes back to the sideline. Elway just guns that football so hard to react and close on the receiver when a quarterback can throw the ball that hard.
Only Winder behind Elway. And Winder gets a couple. Jeff Bryant, #1 pick from Clemson. Bruce Schultz in on the tackle. Rams leading Atlanta by a touchdown in the 4th quarter, and apparently Dallas in a breeze against the Cardinals. Tomorrow night, with the rain postponing tonight's Game 7, the Red Sox and Mets for the World Series. 8 o'clock Eastern Time here on NBC, and right after our game from Denver, we'll have a World Series report for you, so you fans stay tuned. No flag. Yes, a flag is down. Sewell with a catch. And finally out of bounds at the 30-yard line, Steve Sewell. And it appeared the penalty was against Seattle. Seahawks have been bruised and battered by their own penalty mistakes today.
We'd seen them come.
Offside, number 77 defense. Penalty decline, 1st and 10.
We've seen them rush just 3 people. Here they've loaded inside. All 3 big men covered inside as they try to get the pressure on. And it's Bryant on the right of your screen, and you see him jumping there that gets offside. The blitz is on, and Elway just so quick in reading it and getting the ball out to Sewell.
And Sewell, a casual one-handed catch, and turned that into a 22-yard play. Winder for 2 or 3 down to the Seattle 27.
Elway, when they've rushed 3, has found a way to wait, get his receiver open downfield. When they come after him with the blitz, he reads it quick and fires the ball out of there. I'm sure they're saying over there, hey, we can't win. They've got to do something here. Elway's getting it down well inside Carlos's range and looking for a touchdown.
2:25 left in the 3rd quarter. 13-6. Denver leads. Winder again. hard at the 24-yard line. Greg Gaines and Fred Young, the two linebackers, put him in a sandwich.
Down in the pits, a real battle going on between Green, number 79, and number 76, Kenny Lanier. Green lifting out to the outside, and boy, you can see the frustration. He's liable to draw a flag with that. But I think that's the result of not being able to get to Elway all day. Look at him. You can see the breath coming so quick. Tremendous intensity, and I'm sure great frustration. It has been a day where you feel like you've worked your guts out and nothing is happening for you.
Big play for both sides. A handoff to Sewell. Flags are down. Sewell has a first down and another flag down at the 16-yard line. Kenny Easley finally made the tackle. One play, one flag down as the play initiated, the other as it came to a finish.
We'll let them sort it out as they have gathered down there. Well, one thing we have not yet had in this game is any review by our committee in the booth. We haven't had Norm Schachter, who's here today, hasn't had to press his buzzer today.
Illegal formation, number 76 offense, not up on the line of scrimmage. Illegal use of their hands during the running play, number 78 offense.
So Ken Lanier was the man who was not on the line of scrimmage. You must have at least 7 men on the line of scrimmage.
Well, he's sneaking back, trying to get out there in a pull, and Winford Hood is the second man. There they are. I'm sure they would love to have it this way. They don't like to be a big part of the game. You see Norm Schachter standing in the middle.
He loves it. Hey, just relax there, Norm. Get a rocking chair for you. Let's not even get that thing involved.
The illegal use of hands on 78 is declined. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
Now you may be wondering, why would Seattle take a 5-yard penalty over a 10-yard penalty? It's because the 10-yarder would have been marked off where Sewell was tackled, and that was farther downfield. So actually Seattle comes out ahead with a 5-yard call.
Spotted the foul. That does put them in a long yardage situation. 3rd and 9. This is the kind of situation that Elway has been able to convert on a great many times today. Out of the shotgun. Let's see what he can do here.
He has Watson to the right, and he appears to be isolated on man coverage with Taylor. Bottom of your picture. Let's see if he goes in that direction. Yes. Dropped by Taylor. Terry Taylor had him well covered, playing off Watson, and that's 2 possible interceptions that Taylor has let slip through his hands.
The great defensive backs field their receivers, and that ball belongs to them. Let's go back and look at a very frustrated Jacob Green. 3 men stacked up on him. Paul Howard, the last one. He's saying, hey, can they do that to me? Paul Howard says, what? Would I hold?
In comes Rich Carlos. He is 2 for 3 today. Carlos has connected from 22 and 47 yards, and he missed his last from 49 in this direction. This one is wide to the left. 46 yards, nothing for Denver, so dramatically that one keeps it close for Seattle fans. They're still within a touchdown.
Carlos, who'd had such a dependable season to this point, draws the wrath and some boos from this Bronco crowd.
Kubiak sets the ball up, and he knew right away that it was wide left.
As you will so often see, that ball hooking. And I'm sure one of the reasons, again, Seattle puts a lot of pressure on you here. You see people jumping in, trying to get to him, clawing at him. They have blocked him twice. They blocked 2 of his field goals, one in 83 and one in 85. I'm sure he remembers that.
Seattle takes over at the 29, a flag down. Warner has about 3. Well, it's another doubleheader week for us on NBC next week. Our early games will feature the Oilers against Miami, Cincinnati, Detroit. Cleveland visits Indianapolis, and Buffalo will be at Tampa Bay. And then in game 2 of the doubleheader, some good ones. Jets will be at Seattle, Denver at Los Angeles. We understand the Raiders are expecting that one will be over 90,000 at the Coliseum, and Kansas City visits San Diego. So be with us 12:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 on the West Coast for NFL 86. And don't forget Saturday, 4 hours of racing, $10 million. The Breeders' Cup from Santa Anita. What a day of sport that is. Sport of Kings on display. The very best from around the world will be racing at Santa Anita. 1st and 15 on the penalty against Seattle. Warner to the 29-yard line. Steve Foley came up from the secondary to make the hit. A gain of 5. And for Warner, 5 yards gives him 134 yards for the day as this third quarter winds down. They may not even run a play. 10 seconds on the clock and it's running. Indeed, the clock runs out. The end of 3 periods here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado on a perfect football afternoon. It is Denver by 7. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
Anything good on after the game Sundays? Oh, right.
Our house tonight at 7-6 Central and Mountain.
It's your money, son. But if you want my advice, buy another Subaru.
Sure, Dad.
We agreed you'd buy a Subaru.
But, Dad, I did.
The new Subaru XT.
Visit your New York, New Jersey metro area Subaru dealers.
The new Pan Am shuttle is introducing Eastern to competition. Like Eastern, the new Pan Am shuttle offers 15 flights to Washington. Like Eastern, the new Pan Am shuttle offers 15 flights to Boston. But unlike Eastern, the new Pan Am shuttle won't take 25 years to offer beverages. Give them another 25 years. Who knows what they'll dream up? The Pan Am shuttle, the first choice in shuttles.
The following is a demonstration of how to act when you win the Easy Winner Cup game at Burger King. There's 11 million prizes, so watch carefully. Peel the sticker off your Pepsi to win
a Whopper.
Then collect stickers, match the game card, and you could win the grand prize.
A car. A trip to my favorite Burger King towns, even Hawaii.
So hurry to Burger King and play the Easy Winner Cup game. Remember, at Burger King now.
Richard Simmons and Celebrity Parents, Monday, live at 5.
If you're wondering why Carl Mecklenburg has not made more plays today, watch him as he starts into the line. He's going to be blocked by 65 Edwin Bailey. Stop it right there. Watch what Bailey does. Now turn it loose and watch Mecklenburg as Bailey jerks him away from the play. And Mecklenburg just came back with a big smile. He knew he'd been suckered on that one.
2nd and 10 for the Seahawks, who trail. And down goes Craig, the 3rd sack of the game. The 2nd by Rulon Jones. He may be the most underrated or unknown defensive star in the NFL.
Tremendous intensity, great speed. He just lines up on you and says, hey, I'm going to get your quarterback. And that's exactly what he does to Craig. Again, big difference in this game. What happens when the protection breaks down? Craig unable to scramble out of there and make the plays. And look at what has happened in the passing game. A -10 through 3 quarters on the day for the Seahawks. They've run it well, but boy, they have not been able to throw the football.
3-man rush underneath to Warner. Beautiful move on Woodard, and Warner ad-libbing his way to the 34, but it's short of a first down. 15 of the 20 yards picked up on the pass play to get the Seahawks around the plus mark for the day. Gerald Wilhite drifts back to the 20 for Denver. Seattle's Gamache has kicked well today, a 48.6 average. This is a short kick and out of bounds at the 28-yard line. 1 minute 17 seconds gone in the fourth quarter here in Denver, where the Broncos still lead the Seahawks 13-6.
A century ago, the founders of Mercedes-Benz created the world's first automobiles. Over the years, their mastery of technology and intolerance for mediocrity inspired countless automotive legends. Now, as Mercedes-Benz enters its second century, the technology has changed, yet the passion for perfection remains, creating Mercedes-Benz for 1987, legends for the second century.
I want to talk to you about something that could change your life. Insurance. This is a policy from one of the world's biggest insurance specialists. For almost any kind of insurance, because you just never know when you're going to need insurance. Excuse me. Hey, you big ape! You know who has to pay for this mess?
Transamerica. For insurance and financial services, the power of the pyramid is working for you.
Who are you calling? You've been on the phone forever!
The Air Express Company. They won't pick up the phone.
Hold it. If you'd called Federal Express, you wouldn't be having this problem. Come with me. You see, Federal has the most advanced communication system in the business.
I didn't know that.
And this lets us respond to calls in seconds and give you information quicker.
I didn't know that.
Next time, call Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
I think I'll call Federal. Then maybe I'll get this stupid phone off my ear.
Today's game is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Splash of sunlight, late afternoon in Denver. Washing the upper deck of Mile High Stadium, 76,000 fans have seen a defensive struggle. The Broncos lead 13-6 and have the ball at their own 28-yard line with just under 14 minutes left. Draw play to Winder. Greg Gaines and company make the tackle at the 30, a gain of about 3.
Seattle, wind us back a little bit further. Can you take it back a little further? We'd like to see the skip here, the little jump, because Seattle is doing some of the same kind of shifting that we've seen the okay, here we go. Seattle, all right, go ahead and run it from there. Anyway, Seattle is doing some of the same kind of jumping as you've seen the Broncos do all day long. I'm afraid we didn't get back far enough to see it. Well, we tried. Anyway,
I believe you.
You saw it.
I believe you.
There you saw him again as they're doing it on the field right now. They're jumping around trying to give Elway some of the same medicine his defense gives out.
The tight end K in motion, drill to Watson, and a first down at the 47. And in the second half, Elway has found the veteran Watson. That's his third catch. Good for 16 on that play.
Most quarterbacks have a favorite receiver. Watson has been that for Elway. He's the man he likes to go to in critical situations. Watch the zip on this football. Elway looking left all the way and comes back, knowing he's able to freeze those safeties in the middle of the field, that there's not going to be a lot of help there. Even then, there were quite a few bodies in white shirts, but no chance to get to that football.
Tackling the football, but Winder maintaining his grasp, gets near the 50-yard line.
Dick, this is kind of a strange game. You really have the feeling that the Broncos have just stomped all over Seattle today, and yet you look up on the clock and it's 13-6. You look back into the history of this game, you see 2 touchdowns called back that could have put the Broncos down rather substantially in this ball game. And you still know that Seattle, as badly as they have played on offense, is only one big play away from being able to tie it up.
That's why Elway would like to get him downfield, at least get a field goal and get a 10-point bulge. 2nd and 7. Elway wide open is Watson. And he has a first down at the 34-yard line as they pick on Patrick Hunter, the rookie cornerback.
Well, you got the rookie over there, and you got to go and visit him every now and again. And what they were able to do on that play is just freeze him. Watson is going to show him speed coming on, and then just a dead stop. And oh, how those quarterbacks or those cornerbacks hate that pattern. Lester Hayes down there in Los Angeles says that's the pattern he hates most of any, because he said there's no way to defend against it, just a stop pattern. And Elway's strong arm makes that such a good play.
But Watson has to sell it, as you saw coming off the line of scrimmage.
Got to make it look real.
All at the 34 with 10 minutes 45 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Denver driving, leading by a touchdown. The reverse to Sewell, back to Elway, looking long. Touchdown! Vance Johnson stole it away.
Just shaking his head. The Seahawks defense was not fooled on the play. They had 3 defenders there. In fact, Patrick Hunter went up for the interception. But Vance Johnson just took it away from him.
Carlos point after try is good. And with 10.5 minutes remaining here in Denver, a flag goes down. We'll check that before we go to our commercial. Well, it should be noted, not only has penalties, 2 penalties cost Seattle touchdowns, Taylor's had 2 interceptions in his grasp that he did not bring in, and Hunter looked like he was in perfect position there, only to have Vance Johnson outleap him and outmuscle him for the score. The point after is good. A 10-yard penalty will be marked off on the kickoff. No, check that. It's against the Broncos. They'll have to kick it over again. So they'll have another try for point right here.
It began as a new way of thinking about the relationship between the automobile and the road. It evolved into an automotive suspension system.
Goal for this extra point.
A holding call. They'll try it from 12.
And he's got it. So a 30-yard extra point for Rich Carlos, and now it is 20-6.
Let's just take a quick peek at that great play. Elway hands off to Winder, who hands it off to Watson coming, or to Sewell coming around, gives it back to Elway. You've got 3 defenders there. Look at Patrick Hunter going up for that ball. But it was just great concentration by Vance Johnson all the way. Here comes the reverse man, Sewell. And there is Johnson streaking downfield. He's got room. You see the close here, but look at this concentration.
That equals 20-6.
It began as a new way of thinking about the relationship between the automobile and the road. It evolved into an automotive suspension system like none before. The Mercedes-Benz multi-link independent rear suspension system. 5 individual links per wheel precisely interacting to achieve handling stability as never before. Helping to make the 300 class the most technologically advanced automobiles in Mercedes-Benz history.
Way up here, a line shack can save your life when the weather turns the coldest. But the best time to stock it is always the hottest. And before you head back down, you head for the mountains. Bush. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream. For a taste as smooth as its name. Bush. Head for Bush beer. Head for the mountains.
Alpha team, aggressor tank spotted.
In a battle drill, you need horsepower, firepower, people power. That's teamwork.
Moving tank, direct front, 2,000.
This team uses a computer, thermal sight, laser rangefinder.
Ah!
We win, the whole tank wins. The whole team wins, not just one person.
Find your future in the Army.
Former University of Arizona Wildcat Vance Johnson, long jump champion, NCAA titleist, leaped almost 27 feet, adding to the Bronco total both in yards and score. Carlos's kick will not be carried out by Edmonds. Seattle starts at the 20, down by 14.
coming back from surgery. It's always difficult till you get your confidence back. And you saw Vance Johnson limp off the field, and really there was concern whether he'd be able to play. But got to tell you that what he probably did was to break loose some adhesions in that knee. He said the knee feels fine now, and you see the result of that confidence. You see it in a big play today, and he is their big play performer. Now he and Elway. Let's make that right.
Dave Craig knows he's going to be facing a pass rush as Seattle has to move the ball through the air if they're going to hold any hope. They start on the ground with Warner, and the remarkable Warner has 6 more yards.
I don't know that you could ever climb inside a quarterback's head, but Dave Craig is a hard one to understand. On some days, so very confident, sure of himself. Largent said he's his own worst enemy. He's just too doggone hard on himself. Knox has tried to surround him with the kind of people who can take the pressure off of him. And he told me before the game, he said, we've got to make the big plays with the passing game. They have not made them, and that's been the difference in the game.
Elway almost 300 more yards than Craig today. You saw Warner go off. His replacement, Morris, going to throw the ball and has a man open. Largent. Oh. Boy, Morris showing an arm. Too much for Largent, who had a step on Tony Lilly and Mike Harden.
Page out of Dan Reeves' book, who always has his running backs throwing the football. Morris with good power on that ball, and Largent giving it everything he could. Simply could not reach that long spiral.
For those of you who may have joined us late and wondering about Steve Largent and his consecutive game record of catching at least one pass, he has a 7-yard pass in the first quarter to give him 131 straight games.
That was said tongue-in-cheek, I might add, talking about the importance of Largent, but the passing game almost non-existent for Seattle today. They have not been able to throw the football effectively to anyone.
3rd and 4. Well, make it 5. 3rd and 5. Warner is back in. Craig going on top. Incomplete, and he had Butler ahead of the defense.
And Butler had Wilson one-on-one on Wilson down the sideline, number 45. That ball could not have been thrown more perfectly, but Butler just giving it all he could not control it.
And so the frustration for Craig continues, and Elway straps it on as he gets ready to return to the field, as Vince Gamache drops back into punt formation on 4th and 5, an apparent punt. And he's kicking, and it's a beauty. Will Hyde at his 26. Out of bounds at the 35. 36-yard line, a 10-yard return on a 49-yard punt. We have 9 minutes, 26 seconds left.
The Mercedes-Benz Driving Simulator, a laboratory that moves. Computerized hydraulics producing realistic driving forces. Computerized projectors creating a lifelike driving world. Allowing engineers to analyze the responses of ordinary drivers in extraordinary moments. Duplicating any driving situation in total safety. Mercedes-Benz continues to learn the secrets of automotive science. And the automotive world continues to learn from Mercedes-Benz.
Let's face it, I have a big appetite for life, and I don't want anyone telling me how to live it. The world is my oyster. That's why I carry MasterCard. It opens up all the possibilities and puts me in the driver's seat. Imagine all of life's possibilities with the great one at the wheel.
No cazzo.
Thank you. MasterCard. Oh, sweet it is. MasterCard. Master the possibilities.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Meet our family's newest member.
Our new high-performance Tandy 1000 EX. PC compatible and now at an incredible $799, including a Christmas bonus color monitor. We saved $300.
And it came with desk-made software like word processing, budgeting, filing, and more.
Of course, all work and no play.
Makes a dull computer.
Right.
The Tandy 1000 EX computer, just $799, only at Radio Shack.
On this earth, there is no athlete more graceful than the thoroughbred. To see him run is one of the great pleasures in life. And when the champions gather, then it is more than just a race. It's the thrill of a lifetime.
And we'll be with you. The Breeders' Cup, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock in the morning in the West from Santa Anita next Saturday afternoon. Winford Hood.
He's done a fine job in backup, off the roster for a while. Thought he probably wasn't going to have a chance here. He's back, not only on the team, but playing for an injured Keith Bishop.
From the 36, Winder. Hit at the line of scrimmage and still picks up a couple. Jacob Green credited with a hit. Let's check on the early games. The finals, Cleveland winning at Minnesota, Pittsburgh surprising Cincinnati, and the Jets going 7-1 at mid-year. The Bears had a struggle of their own at Soldier Field. New England wins handily. The Raiders now 5 straight. San Francisco and Miami, both winners, as are Philadelphia and Kansas City. Chiefs quietly at 5-3 now. Rams lead by a touchdown in the 4th, and Dallas storming over St. Louis. Here it is 20-6. Denver with the lead and the ball. Winder. And he has nearly a first down out to the 45-yard line before Jeff Bryant can make the tackle.
Well, we gave you a look at Winford Hood a few moments ago, and the action is coming his way. Dave Studdard 70, 78 Hood. They're double teaming down on Joe Nash, the nose tackle, making room for Sammy Winder, who just bulled up in there. And right now, Dan Reeves is using a little of Knox's philosophy. Let's run the football, let's eat the clock, and let's see if we can't shut them out at this point. 8:09, 8:08, still quite a bit of time, and you've got to believe that Seattle is thinking turnover, tackle the football. We got to get our hands on the ball.
Elway over the top and appears to have the first down. And that'll be 4 more downs and at least 2 more minutes unless they elect to throw the ball. Well, we were complimenting the outstanding talent on the defensive lines of both these teams and pass rushers. And Merlin, you played with some great ones and again some great pass rushers. And we were talking over the weekend. I was wondering who your all-time pass rush team might be. 2 defensive ends and 2 defensive tackles that are not active today.
Not active. Well, glad you asked. We may do something with that momentarily. They could sure use a couple of those guys on this field today. I can tell you that. At least the Seattle side of the line could.
First down from the Denver 47. They stay with Winder, and he loses a yard. Bruce Schultz made the tackle.
Seattle defense jumping around again prior to the snap. They sink Jacob Green inside. Now watch Green slant hard to the inside, and then watch what happens to him after he gets in there. He'll drive to the inside on this play, gets inside of Paul Howard, thinks he's going to have a shot at Winder. Unfortunately, didn't do so, but forced Winder out of his track, and there was no way to get back.
Winder, somewhat quietly, has compiled 77 yards rushing today. He gives you a good solid player. He gets the call again, and he's to the 48-yard line. The Seattle Seahawks. Greg Gaines made the tackle. 6 more yards for Winder to make it 3rd and 5. Well, how about that pass rush team? Your old-timers.
Well, it's going to include some names easily recognizable. My old teammate Deacon Jones on the left side. Great member of the Purple People Eaters, Alan Page. Great tackle from Dallas, Bob Lilly, and Doug Atkins. And Atkins, I think, might have been the best from his side of it. Now, here are some top pass rushers active today, and I select them differently for that. Howie Long, Joe Klecko, Randy White, Richard Dent. Those are all big names, and we're leaving a lot of people off. We'll add a few more names after this.
Elway, 3rd and 5, ripping the ball, intercepted by Paul Moyer at the 40, 50, and Moyer out of bounds at the Denver 45-yard line. First interception of Elway today, Moyer's 3rd of the year.
An interception on a ball that was bounced out of the receiver's hands. And Moyer, who played so well in relief of Kenny Easley last week, comes up with a big play and a turnover. Vance Johnson gets a hand on it, but just hangs it up for Paul Moyer, who does a good job of running it back. And Seattle has what they needed desperately, a turnover, but now they've got to do something with it. There's Moyer on the sideline, very happy. And right now, the spotlight and the pressure on number 17, Dave Craig.
Warner with a little move to gain 2 or 3 as Mark Haynes, number 36, got a piece of him. And with 5.5 minutes left in a must-score situation, Seattle is inside the Denver 45.
Gave you a chance to see earlier the scoring imbalance by Seattle. They have really scored big in the second half, but not so here today. Only 3 points here in the second half. Of course, right now, they're looking for more. 5:15, 5:14, the clock is ticking down.
Oh, my! The 4th sack today, and it goes to the defensive back, 48, Randy Robbins. They brought him in on a blitz, and he got through almost scot-free.
Joe Collier does such a great job of positioning his people. Watch from the right-hand side of your screen. Number 48 just slips through inside of Kurt Warner right there. Slips Warner almost like a bullfighter and just goes right over the top of Craig, who did not have a chance.
Now that's 4 sacks for Denver. They already have a modern record with 5 sacks in 5 consecutive games, and they're 1 away from extending that.
And they lead the league, I'm sure, still.
It's their 33rd of the year. Flag down. Mecklen or Jones may have been offside. Butler grabs this one at the 40, short of the first down. But I believe that Rulon Jones had leaned forward into that neutral zone.
Might have been Mecklenburg. It was the left end. I don't know which of them was. It's Carl Mecklenburg, 77. But he was lined up on the left end where Jones often lines up and has done in this game many times.
Well, that has to make Denver so double tough too. Here you have 2 top players, 2 good pass rushers, and you don't know where to find them.
They move them around all day long. And literally, Mecklenburg, as we mentioned, will line up in any of the 7 front spots and often jumping to them at the last second. Rulon Jones will line up in any of the down spots, and you've got to figure out where they are because they use them in combinations.
Offside, number 77, defense, penalty accepted, 3rd down.
Yeah, we asked Mecklenburg last time we were here, how do you get yourself in position to make those big plays? And he said, I don't know, they just come. But you talk to Joe Collier and the Merle Moore linebacker coach, and they'll smile because the defenses they organize put Mecklenburg in those situations where he can't be easily blocked, where he can make those big plays.
That's exactly the answer that they want from their system and their scheme. 3rd and a short 10. Craig, there's the 5th sack. Give this one to Gilbert. Freddie Gilbert from the University of Georgia. And the Orange Crush defense very much alive and well, thank you.
They're doing something that Seattle has not been able to do, and that is put the quarterback on his back. Well, they did it in 5 weeks. They've now stretched it to 6, and that is not going to be an easy record to break. You'll see Gilbert coming from the right-hand side of your screen. Number 90 fighting man-on-man on Mattis, number 70 right there. And Craig just had no chance. There was no receiver open and about 10 shirts on top of him.
Rulon Jones was right there at his ankles, too. Will Height at the 25. So Paul Moyer's interception does not result in a thing for the Seattle Seahawks, who continue to work in the minus pool in their passing game. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited. Reminder again, next Saturday, the Breeders' Cup live from Santa Anita. Join us next Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock in the West. $10 million in purses, 7 championship races, many Horse of the Year and Jockey of the Year, too, perhaps decided on Saturday.
Certainly time to maybe glance ahead and look at the impact of this game. A great big win for Denver, as they will now go 2 games up on the Seattle Seahawks and maintain a 3-game lead on the Raiders.
If you're just joining us, Game 7 scheduled for tonight at Shea Stadium rained out and scheduled for tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Join us on NBC Harry Coyle's got them all resting well in their rooms and geared for the continued outstanding coverage. Boy, the picture making and the commentary have been outstanding. And we all sat back here last night in Denver and enjoyed the drama of Game 6. It's the final game of the year for all the marbles tomorrow night. We hope you'll be with us.
Dick, while we've got a second, I'd like to go back. I only put 4 names on that all-time pass rushing team. There are some other guys that deserve a mention. People
Merlin Olsen.
No, not yet. Rich Jackson and Paul Smith, so great here in Denver in their time. Gino Marchetti, Big Daddy Lipscomb, Baltimore Colts, Buck Buchanan, big inside
How about
tackle.
the Green Bay?
Willie Davis and
Yes.
Henry Jordan, very easy to put them. Bubba Smith, Claude Humphrey. Yeah, there. Rich Jackson, of course, a great defensive end here, just manhandled so many tackles. Alex Karras. I mean, that's, you can't put a team together without thinking of Alex Karras. Joe Green, Carl Eller, Jack Youngblood, one of my boys out in Los Angeles, did a great job. L.C. Greenwood, Leroy Selman, and probably the best pure pass rusher. He didn't go on the list for me because I want guys there that can play both run and pass, but Fred Dean may have been the best of the pure pass rushers. Also Cedric Harmon. Just a few. I know I still missed some.
Well, those rushers will be there knocking on the door tonight at our house. It follows our coverage of NFL football. Don't forget there's a World Series report immediately after our game, and then our house, Easy Street, and then the movie The Natural with Robert Redford featured tonight. Second and short, and a flag goes down as Wilhite close to a first down. Kenny Easley with his head in there on the tackle. 3 minutes and 27 seconds showing here in the fourth quarter, holding Denver. 3 touchdowns were nullified by penalty in the game. Very early on the opening drive, Denver lost a touchdown, had to settle for a field goal, and then Seattle lost 2. A block punt recovered by Paul Scantz. He took it in for a touchdown, was nullified, and then later a touchdown pass from Dave Craig was nullified by a penalty, and on that occasion Seattle had to go for a field goal.
Yeah, offensive interference. It's been a frustrating day for them. And John Elway coming up with the big play when he had to. He's been the closer today. Look at that yardage passing. Woof.
You just wouldn't believe it. You said at the start of the game, late in the game, the fourth quarter, we're going to show you that statistic. You'd say there's no way that can happen. That just can't happen.
You bet the house, the farm, the car, everything.
Milton College.
Yeah.
Everything. Elway, rather than make a mistake, calls time. Second down and 14 deep in his own end. So that gives us a chance here at 5 o'clock in the Rocky Mountains, 7 o'clock in the east, to run down all the scores. There they are. I hope your team was the winner today. Watch out for those Raiders. They meet the Denver Broncos in the Coliseum next Sunday. We'll have that as one of our games on the doubleheader, NBC. Biggest upset today would have to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, knocking off the front-running AFC Central team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Are you surprised by this one, Merlin?
I am surprised in essence at how poorly Seattle's passing game has performed. Even knowing that Craig can have off days, they're going against the number 22 pass defense in the league. I expected them to have trouble running the football. They've run it pretty effectively. They simply have not been able. Now look at that. You saw the stat of minus 22 rushing, and yet coming into the game knowing you're going against the best rushing team in the league and against a team that has really, there are only 6 teams in the NFL who have given up more yardage via the passing game, and yet here they are with a minus 20 some odd yards passing. And credit this man, Joe Collier, and a great defense and a great defensive scheme. They have literally frustrated and attacked Dave Craig all day long, and they really have put him on his back in some critical situations. It's been an outstanding day for the Denver defense.
Well, you always wonder why a quarterback calls time. We understand the reason. Elway just used a timeout. He had 12 men on the field, so the Stanford graduate made sure that they weren't penalized again.
He can count.
And a few other things. Here comes Sewell to the 24, where it'll be 3rd and 10. Timeout. timeout Seattle. That is the first timeout that the Seahawks have used.
Understandable frustration over on the Seahawks side of the field. They have run the ball effectively. That probably is the most yardage gained rushing that anyone has made against Denver all year long. But you simply don't pencil this thing out when you look at that passing yard. And Dick, statistics sometimes lie to you. As badly as Denver was beaten last week in that game against the Jets, they only gave up 211 yards total. That's the lowest total in 5 years. Now, you wouldn't expect something like that to come out of that game. And they really did play effectively. In fact, they shut the Jets down in the second half, but they were so awful. They were almost as pathetic in the first half last week as the Seattle Seahawks passing offense has been here in this game.
And there's headmaster Chuck Knox, and he may believe in miracles, and as he looked at the clock, he undoubtedly was thinking, now just what can we do? He's thinking not just toward one possession, but how do you get 2 out of this thing to get a couple of touchdowns, down 20-6.
Well, I think he's probably looking forward to getting his team back to the Kingdom.
Yeah, where they have to play an easy one next week. The Jets, there's no easy trip for either of these 2 teams. Jets will be in the Kingdom, and the Raiders will host Denver next week.
It doesn't get easier, does it?
Well, these 2 teams, Seattle had the toughest schedule going into this 86 season based on the records of 85, the teams on their schedule, and Denver was tied for second. So these 2 teams knew from the opening bell that there were no resting spots in the 16-game schedule. 3rd down, 10. Little draw to Wilhite to the 29, and Seattle calls another timeout. And based on the scoreboard, that is their last timeout. They did use one earlier in the 4th period, and now have none left. They have the 2-minute timeout, and there are a total of 2 minutes 44 seconds left.
Got to believe that Chris Norman's heart is beating a little fast at this point too. You know that on the sideline, Rusty Tillman has told his troops, we got to block this punt. We got to get in there and knock it down and get a score out of it.
In a way, Chuck Knox must be thinking, though, we got our block and got a touchdown out of it only to lose it because of our own mistake of penalty. And there's Dave Brown, who was injured, has not returned since early in the 3rd quarter. Bruised leg. Well, the standings, if this one holds up, will have Denver moving back on top by 2, and then Seattle dropping into a 3-way tie for 2nd place with the Raiders in Kansas City, with San Diego struggling. That's with 8 down and 8 to go. Boy, it's going to be tough for one of these good teams to get in as a runner-up in a wild card.
It's always been the case. The AFC West, they chew each other up. There's Rusty Tillman talking to his troops. You got to remember that they blocked 2 punts against New England to turn that game around.
Chris Norman has punted only twice in this game, a 38.5 average.
And you notice they have no one back to field this one.
That gives them an extra man to rush.
11 men on the line. Rusty is making the commitment. And you notice how deep Norman is lined up. 14 yards. Well, it's his normal depth. 15 yards. They're going to challenge him.
That one will roll forever. Well, not with that kind of style. Normally you get that end over end and you should really get a bounce. He got about a yard extra, and it's at the 29 on a 42-yard punt by Norman.
Norman breathing a lot more regularly as he gets off the field, and we mentioned that taking that ball and holding it forward more got him to take those longer strides, and they said you've got to shorten that first step. Well, he not only shortened the first one, but he got it out in a hurry and beat the rush.
So Seattle in a bind. They have to throw the ball. They need 2 possessions, down by 14, and they just haven't been able to get any attack at all through the air against a team that has 5 sacks again today, the Broncos. Craig down the middle to Butler. No, Byron Franklin it is, and he has it at the 42 of Denver, and Seattle will rush up and try to get another playoff. without a huddle. Oh, it's Gail Gilbert in there at quarterback for Dave Craig. So Gilbert, the second-year play caller from the University of California. Chuck Knox going to his bullpen. Steve Largent can't get out of bounds. A big play made by Dennis Smith to stop Largent, and it'll tick down to 2 minutes, and there the whistle and a 2-minute timeout. Mile High Stadium in Denver, where Orange Sunday is a happy Sunday for Bronco fans.
AT&T, the right choice. Joe Morris scampers 30 yards to give the Giants a 1st and goal at the 49-5. Should New York stick with Morris, the league leader in touchdowns, or should they use him as a decoy and try to get San Francisco off guard? What would you do?
We made some changes that I know you are going to love.
Marty, I'll love it when I see it on paper.
Why wait for overnight delivery to make a business decision?
This won't fly, Marty, but my client will.
Fax what you need in seconds over AT&T long distance.
You gotta do more.
It's the most efficient way to send hard copy or pictures most anywhere.
Frank, now you're talking business.
You two are now one super agency.
For all the facts, call AT&T. The right choice.
What did you decide? The Giants play fake to Morris, leaving little-used tight end Don Hasselbeck wide open for the clinching score, eliminating the defending Super Bowl champions from the playoffs. The Giants made the right choice.
Time for the Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. Today's MVP, John Elway of the Broncos. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVP selected in our NFL games today. And John Elway, not only his arm, but his mastery at avoiding the rush, feeling the rush, eluding them, buying time, frustrating the defense, and well over 300 yards in passing today. Back to the final numbers on Elway, at least to this point. 32 passes, 18 complete, 321 yards, and a touchdown.
Got to ask the question, Dick. We always play the what-if games. What if you could switch roles and take these two quarterbacks and reverse them, and put John Elway over there on the far sideline in a Seahawk uniform, and put Craig over here? The impact of a player like Elway is felt all the way through an organization, all the way through the offensive line and onto the defense, to the receivers, even to the special teams.
Yep, he's lived up to that first player picked back in '83, Elway, although that was a long rookie year here in Denver after he came from the Colts. Gilbert to Franklin, and he wisely steps out of bounds to stop the clock at the 24-yard line.
Dick, this is a game obviously of courage, and the Seahawks have one of those stories ongoing. Joe Vitt, who's one of their coaches, operated on 3 weeks ago for cancer, going through chemotherapy, here with the team, and I visited with him before the game. Looked great. He said, hey, I'm going to beat this, and I feel good. I'm going to be out of this thing, and wanted me to pass along that note of good news to his family and friends, a lot of them on the East Coast, getting the bad news about it. Well, he wants them to know he's going to beat this thing, and he looks good.
That is good news. Gilbert on first down, going deep for Largent. Touchdown, and what a catch by the incomparable Steve Largent. Oh my. With 1:48 left, and Gail Gilbert comes off the bench, and yes, indeed, Denver is going to loosen up that defense, but he didn't do much wrong on that drive.
He streaked down the field, hit a long one down the middle, a short one to the outside, and puts this one right over the top. On a day when Craig could do nothing right with the football, Gilbert apparently can do nothing wrong, and you feel the letdown of a defense always when a second quarterback comes onto the field. But Gilbert able to capitalize. You got to believe if they can get this one, there'll be an onside kick. They may not be through with this game yet.
It's 20-13. Gail Gilbert, who had not thrown a pass all season long in the first 7 games. He did have one touchdown throw last year, and he has his first of 86.
Strength, pride, tradition. For centuries, the Clydesdale has been known as a special breed. Today, the Clydesdales symbolize Budweiser's dedication to quality, superior ingredients, exclusive beechwood aging, and a distinctively clean, crisp taste that only Budweiser can offer. Quality taste. Because this Bud's for you.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil.
Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Gail Gilbert efficiently, 48 seconds, 4 completed passes, 71 yards and a touchdown. And it's now 20-13 as they set up for the onside kick. And look at this alignment. 7 men, 15 yards back at the 20-yard line. Never quite seen this formation before.
They'll time it out. They'll start to run on a signal. The ball will be kicked as they approach the line. Oh, it's hit too early. I think it's hit too early, Dick.
It touched the Seahawk before it went 10 yards. Let's see. They signal Seattle has recovered the football.
Seattle has the ball, and there's no flag down.
Gordon McCarter, the referee, number 48 there in the black cap, trying to get humanity aside. It did appear that the ball hit a Seattle player prior to the 10-yard distance.
You got to ask a question. Is that something that they would review in the review booth upstairs?
Absolutely.
Instant replay booth. And Reeves is asking the question too. Where was the ball when it was touched? Let's go back and look at it. You see the whole crowd rushing. Now that ball has to go 10 yards before a Seattle player can touch it. That means it has to go to the 45-yard line. It is not there yet. That ball is touched right there on the 43 and a half yard line.
Well, that is an unusual formation, and they are looking at this instant replay, and an official may be made away from the field on this one. You see the ball high kicking, and it's a blur there. Tough to see where it hit.
Can't. Well, here's another opportunity to look at it, and maybe we'll get a chance to see the ball, whether it actually touches someone here. Yes, it does, right there. Right off the inside leg. Right off the inside leg.
You reverse it, it might be on.
Here it is, right here. You see that ball touching the leg and bouncing back.
John Kaiser, 54.
Yep. John Kaiser, the linebacker, and he is not yet to the line. Here it is again. Watch it bounce up right there, hit the leg, and come back out. You can, of course, see that he is well on the other side of that 45-yard line marker.
And so here's a case where there's Norm Schachter with Val Pinchbeck from the NFL office. They have said
illegally touched by a member of the kicking team before it went 10 yards. 5 yards and re-kick.
Now Chuck Knox is one of the strongest advocates of the instant replay system. And here's a case where it may have been the difference in the game. It was 1:46 left, and at least on the field they did not see the ball hit Kaiser.
Well, and that is a situation where the replay can be effective, and in this case is effective. Look for the same kind of situation again. One more chance.
And for Dan Reeves, he apparently saw this. You could see him, and you had the feel. There it is, right off the left knee or left shin of 54 Kaiser before it reached the 45-yard line. Nearly a perfect execution. A 5-yard penalty, and it's another penalty that has really burned the Seahawks. They have a lot of scars today from mistakes, and although that you can't really call a mistake, he's trying to get out of the way.
You saw Sean Gailey, who's the special teams coach for the Broncos, sending his troops out. You don't know what Rusty's going to come up with next after that lineup. Maybe the same thing. It literally worked. Had that ball been downfield just a little further, and Rusty is furious. That's the second time today they've had what they thought were turnaround kind of plays with a special team, and they've been reversed. One by a penalty and one by the instant replay.
Yeah, they line up in the same formation. Of course, this gives those on-tacking 7 off on the far side a running start.
That one's down far enough.
And it's covered by the Broncos, Randy Robbins. And Seattle does not have a timeout to stop the clock with 1:46 left. But boy, you've got to hand it to the Seahawks and their special teams. When the game seemed really out of hand, 20-6. Patrick Bowlen, the owner of the Broncos, and nothing is easy.
No, nothing is easy between these two teams. Their last 3 games decided by field goals. This one appeared to be a much easier game. Looked like Denver was going to run away and hide. But here it's Seattle coming close in the final seconds. And except for that reversal on the replay, it would have been their ball on the 45.
You might wonder if Chuck Knox will be second-guessing himself and not going to Gail Gilbert a little earlier, with Craig having such an off afternoon and Gilbert having such remarkable success, taking him only 48 seconds to drive the team the full length of the field with his passing tools.
Gotta wonder why Elway would ever want to call a timeout here in this situation with 1:46.
Well, the executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NBC's football coverage is Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast was produced by Larry Cirillo, directed by John Gonzalez, technical director Ray Figelski. Thanks to Joe Costanza and Company, Al King, Mark Friedman, our choreographer Jim Allen, and our head of wardrobe Phil Olson for all their help. Ray Friedman and Cliff Dodge. Merlin Olsen and I showed up in the same blue and white striped shirt. We looked like a couple of convicts, and thank goodness Phil Olsen was here, same size, took off his shirt, gave it to Merlin, so it doesn't look like we're trying to do a team picture. We got to get together on the wardrobe here. See, I showed up with this. I didn't think that one of the world's best dressed sportsmen.
There's my shirt back there.
They had to strip here just before the kickoff. Thank you, Mr. Wardrobe.
Very exciting here in the booth.
He's going to make Pam Stanton's top 10 list now. Oh, my.
Well, a very frustrating day for the Seattle Seahawks. I think they would have liked to have been able to change some uniforms over on the sideline, too. Got to wonder, Chuck Knox has gone out looking for quarterbacks on a couple of occasions. They bid aggressively on Warren Moon. They went after Bobby Hebert. People said they were trying to get Kelly when he was coming.
Jim Everett.
And Jim Everett, too. They bid hard on Jim Everett. Unable to get any of those people. And the reason is they just don't feel that they get that consistent performance out of Craig. And he showed us today why they have concerns for him. Got to wonder, after a game like this, do you go back again and begin looking for a quarterback? It's a constant search, I'm sure, for Seattle. But then again, you look at the great days that Craig has had and you say, gee, why can't he do that? You know, just get close to that on a day like today.
Well, and for Craig himself, tough question to answer. But my guess is that Knox was, and you played for him, he is consistent. You said it early in the game. You know what he's going to do and what he's done in the past. When Craig's had a bad game, bring him back the next time out at home against the Jets at the King Dome, and he might have a superb.
You know, after last week's game, Elway, who got kicked in the head, had some amnesia. People said he was the luckiest one on the field. Maybe Craig, if he's lucky, somebody will bump him in the head as he heads off to the sideline, and he won't have to remember this game. I'm sure it will go down for him as his all-time worst as a professional.
41 seconds on the clock and counting. Here's a case where the official apparently isn't even going to mark the ball till it gets under 30, so they don't have to run a play. Or will they? They have marked it. Okay, so this will be the last play of the game. On third down, well, Denver used its defense and some outstanding scramble moves by Elway to go over 300 yards passing, and the Denver Broncos, sole possession of the AFC West, have a 2-game lead, are 7-1, as it's 4 straight wins for Reeves over Knox in this highly competitive series. Now stay tuned. After our coverage from Mile High Stadium in Denver, we have a World Series report, followed by our house, except on the West Coast and most Mountain Time Zone stations, where our house will be seen at its regular time. For Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg, so long from Denver, Colorado.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines, serving 13 cities in Asia and the Pacific. United, a fresh breeze across the Pacific.
This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, proud to be the network of the 1988 Summer Olympic Games.
April 14th, America attacks Libya.
NBC broke the story first.
In times of crisis, rely on NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
These days, if you go on a job interview, you may be asked to leave more than your resume. Watch a special report, The Drug Testing Dilemma, starting Wednesday at 5 and 6.
This is Governor Mario Cuomo.
and I know a champion when I see one. Mark Green, Nader's #1 Raider, will be our next senator. Mark Green for United States Senate. Star athlete, Harvard Law with honors, family man, 10 years fighting beside America's greatest consumer hero, tracking down consumer ripoffs, polluters, anybody who tries to kick us around. He's the candidate who says no to special interest. Mark Green for United States Senate. He can't be bought, and he doesn't back down.
It's your money, son, but if you want my advice, buy another Subaru.
Sure, Dad.
I thought we agreed you'd buy a Subaru.
But, Dad, I did.
The new Subaru XT Coupe.
Visit your New York, New Jersey metro area Subaru dealers.
Richard Simmons and Celebrity Parents, Monday, live at 5.
This is Bob Costas, NBC Sports. As most of you know by now, Game 7 of the World Series, scheduled for tonight at Shea Stadium, has been postponed because of day-long rains in the New York area. It's been rescheduled for tomorrow night at 8:10 Eastern Time. That's the first pitch. We'll be on the air at 8 Eastern Time with the pregame show. In the meantime, most of you will see the following NBC primetime lineup coming up next.